If they wanted to, they would have. This is a video compilation I made of a bunch of different video clips that I have juxtaposed to show you the difference between the Biden-Harris administration, which was made up mostly of corruption and power-seeking individuals whose incompetence stemmed from the fact that they spent their entire political career worshiping government and one another to obtain power without doing anything for the American people. Contrasted with the Trump Vance administration, who have to keep campaign promises and actually be competent and capable of fulfilling and solving the people's needs and problems. You can see that our political offices do come with an unbelievable amount of power to serve the American people, not just a bunch of words and virtue signals.
And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster.
We've given them all everything we have. We're on the ground ahead of time. So we're working hard.
The one that didn't do a good job was the government. They did a bad job. They did, in many ways, they did no job.
I'm here to applaud you.
FEMA is a very expensive organization.
Administrator Hooks, I thank you and everyone here for their leadership. As I said briefly, I know who is here. I know what you each do.
Someone feels uncomfortable. We can't go to that home.
They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have.
You are so selfless in the way that you serve our country. You all do that work around the clock as though these are your family members.
If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
In their most vulnerable situations where they lack just basic essential needs.
People on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly.
Any more resources the federal government could be giving them?
No, I'm announcing over $1 billion in new humanitarian support for Africans displaced from homes by historic drought.
Announce a $1 billion financial initiative to support conservation of the Ecuadorian Amazon.
Joe Biden has just 3 weeks left on the job, and ahead of his departure, he's pledged billions more in aid to Ukraine.
Donald Trump signing an executive order on Monday to temporarily suspend all foreign assistance programs.
Today, the U.S. State Department suspended all foreign assistance around the world for at least 3 months.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
The policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem.
And most are released into the U.S.
You've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
Along the southern border this morning, signs of President Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration in the air and on the ground. Marines from California's Camp Pendleton now at the border wall with heavy trucks and concertina wire.
When someone's going through something that is beyond their comprehension that they ever thought they'd have to go through, if they see someone who they think understands or maybe been through something not the same but similar, it gives them some sense of hope. People are looking for just something to grab. Something that gives them some sense of hope.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
Credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh.
Even Biden's own side is crediting Trump's role in the deal.
When it comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line.
The Times of Israel said Trump's envoy swayed Netanyahu more in one meeting than Biden did all year.
We started our assistance to Ukraine before this war began. You and I helped put NATO together in a way that hadn't been in a long time. So much is at stake, so they better step up. $650 million in weapons, including anti-air and anti-armor equipment, before the invasion. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. The failure of the United States Congress, if it occurs, not to support Ukraine is close to criminal neglect. I want to begin by thanking President Zelensky for his passionate message this morning. I listened to it in private residence, and he was convincing.
Zelensky was fighting a much bigger entity, much bigger, much more powerful. And Zelensky decided that I want to fight. Putin shouldn't have done it too. The war in Ukraine would have never happened if I were president.
Putin said he agreed the war could have been avoided if President Trump was in the White House.
Our Secretary of State and the Russian Foreign Minister have not spoken at all.
We're crippling Putin's economy with punishing sanctions. That's going to only grow more painful over time, with the entire NATO and EU behind us and many other countries.
At least 1 million Ukrainians dead or severely wounded when the United States hasn't lifted a finger to try to talk to the other side. Biden and Putin have not spoken once.
Хочу сказать, что Россия никогда не отказывалась от контактов с администрацией Соединенных Штатов. И не наша вина в том, что прежняя администрация от этих контактов отказалась.
I'd like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted.
President Vladimir Putin says he's ready for talks with the U.S. And 2 days after President Trump posted on Truth Social about ending the war.
He would not pardon Hunter Biden, but now we are learning he is.
Biden's last minutes in office delivered a bombshell. As the inauguration ceremony was about to begin, the White House announced unprecedented preemptive pardons for Biden's siblings, including brothers James and Francis, sister Valerie, and their spouses.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person?
But no.
Biden announcing the pardon of Dr. Anthony Fauci, former director of the National Institutes of Health and Biden's chief medical advisor until 2022. Fauci drew intense criticism from his role in the nation's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Biden has also pardoned retired General Mark Milley, former chairman to the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I'm not aware of any president giving a pardon in an effort to stave off an investigation. That is, I believe, unprecedented.
Trump is pardoning his kids and his house pets. And he's not even pardoning them for anything specific.
I was given the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong. And we had people that suffered. They're incredible patriots. We had people that suffered.
Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir?
The Biden administration calling TikTok's threat to go dark a stunt.
Breaking national news. TikTok is now offline for all 170 million users here in the U.S.
Saying we see no reason for TikTok or other companies to take actions in the next few days before the Trump administration takes office.
The app announced statements issued by the Biden White House and Department of Justice had failed to provide the necessary clarity to maintain TikTok's availability.
And as of today, TikTok is back.
President's first orders of business tonight dealing with the TikTok ban. He issued an executive order to keep the app available.